Week 1 is in the books for Chiefs camp. Who stood out? Who has something else to prove? And what can we expect this week out at St. Joe? Welcome to Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. It's a brand new week here on Locked On Chiefs, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making us your first listen. Check out another Locked On show like the Draft Show, for instance. If you would, we would appreciate it. We are here for you every day on every platform for free all the time, and we have a ton to talk about how this camp has opened up, what's going on, and where they are going this week. We hope that you will do that. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, founder of NFL33.com, RGR Football. We're trying to encompass the world, and this is the apex of Chiefs coverage right now. For those of you who don't know us, we are here 5 days a week, plus, in this particular instance here on Locked On Chiefs, your daily show for 20 to 25 minutes of Chiefs talk all the time. How you doing, Chris?
I'm good. I'm really looking forward to talking more about Chiefs camp, and found out last night I'm actually going to the home opener, so I will be there. Looking forward to that. Won't be available on the show right afterwards, but should hopefully have a little bit of extra content going on for that.
Awesome.
Looking forward to that. So you and Matt will have to hold down the show right after the first home game, but I think you guys are more than capable for that.
We could probably pull that off. I feel fairly confident.
Yeah, and just so you know, you can find me at Chiefs Corner. We're going to have some more stuff coming out on there soon. And Ryan will be holding it down a little bit more. Actually, I think it would be about normal this week now I think about it. So I think we're good to go there. Start talking about camp. Wide receivers are really starting to make the mark. It seems like it's every camp somebody is stepping up in a different way. And that is a huge deal for Kansas City. If they can continue that stretch and get other guys going, that's only going to be a huge benefit for them down the road.
I think you nailed the nail on the head. That is the most important thing. And folks, we're recording Sunday. The team is off today for a day of rest. They will get right back at it tomorrow. But what we've seen in this first week that we can take stock of is, like you said, everybody stepped up in some form or fashion. You had McCole kind of come on late in the week. Skyy Moore come on late in the week. MVS, Juju started off hot. A couple of sightings here. Obviously, there's Travis Kelce. Jody Fortson made a couple of nice plays. He did leave practice at the end of last week. If you missed our weekend episodes, go back. We have 2 bonuses for you covering practice. Jody did leave with a quad contusion, as I understand it. We'll see what happens with him on Monday, but he's stepping up, making plays. It's all the pass catchers, and that is exactly what we're hoping to see, right?
Absolutely, and I think that's a very good sign going forward. You look at what this offense was, and I know we've harped on this, but I want to say it again really quick for new people. You look at what this offense was with Tyreek Hill. You look at how they did things, what they did, and how they did it well. It was always a problem of not having somebody else that could step up and be that guy that could step in and be a guy that could take away, double coverage at times, or step up and take their single coverage and get open and give Mahomes that, third or fourth option that he really needed on this offense. This offense has the ability to be better than it has been in the past, even though they're not going to have a superstar like Hill on the roster.
And there could be some familiar sights to be seen. I must have missed it, but earlier in the week, I just found this here last night. There's a certain play where MVS got loose and was running down the sidelines and flashed the deuces as he went into the end zone, just like Tyreek Hill. So it might not be the same number. It's very close, 11 versus 10, but we might see a couple of the same things.
Well, it's kind of crazy because MVS is so much bigger than Tyreek Hill, so you're not gonna question whether or not it's Hill doing it. But you look at that, and what that tells me is that you got guys. You have Juju had a good week this week. You had MVS have a good week. Skyy Moore stepped up. Hardman stepped up. If you get those 4 guys going and they can be regulars that are stepping up at different times throughout the season, you're not going to be able to stop this offense. That's the key.
Yeah.
You look back at how the teams slowed down Kansas City last year. Yeah, it was partially how they played defense and trying to contain Hill and Kelce, but it was always because they didn't have that third option that they could know was always going to be in the right place at the right time and be open and open something else up. So if Juju was here with Tyreek Hill, that would have been a good thing. But obviously Hill's gone. We know that. And now you're on to MVS, and now you have Skyy Moore as well. I think that is going to bode very well for this Chiefs offense.
Yeah, I agree. And it's the roundness of it. And for those folks that are wanting to know, a lot of excitement about Skyy Moore. I'm excited about him too. I really like what Andy had to say about him, with the lower body of a running back in this guy that can take short passes and turn them into things. It's critical for this offense to take the next step forward, right? But let's be real. Skyy Moore is a rookie. And for everyone who wants to see him, including myself, you got to temper your expectations just a little bit because he is behind Mecole Hardman. And everybody can be frustrated with Mecole in his past and whatever. But right now, Mecole Hardman is one of the top 3 wide receivers. Could Skyy Moore catch him? I don't know. What do you think?
I think he could, but if he does, Mecole is going to be playing for a contract this offseason or this season. So if Skyy Moore catches and passes him, that's only going to be a nail in the coffin of Mecole Hardman being in Kansas City, which I don't think he's back in Kansas City in 2023, but we're talking about 2022. You look at what he brings to this offense, and Mecole has the ability to give Kansas City something that they don't have in that deep speed and taking things over the top and being that deep threat. They don't really have that anywhere else on the roster. Yes, MVS can do some of that, but it's still not to the same degree that Hardman can. So the question is does Skyy Moore play a big enough role? Does he take a big enough chunk out of what Hardman can do and do well? And is he able to take what he has done in his past and in college and extrapolate it to the NFL? If he can do that, he's in a great situation to be a guy that can be a glue guy in Kansas City for years to come.
Yeah, and glue guys are important, and what they can do is important. I want to talk about one thing that I don't want to see one of the glue guy do here after we talk about something that can help you guys out right now. And maybe you want a little help from your future self. Maybe you want to borrow a little cash. You can do that now with Dave. Dave is the banking app that will help you get $500 instantly with extra cash. It's more money to fill your tank, more money to buy gifts, more money to get into camp and pay for parking and do all those things that you want to do, or just catch up on bills and your normal finances. It's finally tackle those expenses that are stressing you out, making you nervous, giving you hangups. It's no interest. It's credit free. You don't have to even run a check. It means people have already downloaded the Dave app and gotten the financial relief that this extra cash brings them. So if you're in a pinch or you just want to help your future self, give it a shot. And all you have to do is go and download the Dave app at any app store. It's DAVE, like the guy's name. Sign up for extra cash account and get $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply, and banking is provided by Evolve, a member FDIC.
Compensated spokesperson advances up to $500 available to new members with extra cash accounts, subject to availability and approval. Terms and express fees apply. See dave.com/legal for details. Designed by Dave, not a bank. Evolve Bank and Trust, member FDIC. Holds all deposits and issues the Dave debit card pursuant to a license from MasterCard.
Okay, so I caught a couple of glimpses of this. And again, as I wrapped up the week yesterday on Saturday, I started doing some film review, checking out some of the things that maybe I had missed. And I'm just not ready. I am going to lose it. And I want to know how concerned you're going to be. Maybe even in a preseason game, if Patrick throws a behind-the-back pass, I am going to lose my mind.
I'm not going to lose my mind. I think it's going to be I don't really care that he's messing around in practice. I get that maybe you don't want to see that, but at the same time, say what you want. I'm just going to say there is a real scenario where I could see that actually working in applying to a real game. We never thought he would do a left-handed pass, but he had to do a left-handed pass in a specific situation. I'm not saying I want to see it, but if he's getting ready to get drilled and it's the only way to get the ball out without worrying about the defender, then why not? It's not fun.
No, it's not.
But what would you rather see? Would you rather see that, or would you rather see a guy like DeMarcus Robinson carry the ball like a loaf of bread?
I have more trust in Patrick. That is clear and definite.
Okay, so that's what but you see where I'm going with that. Like,
yes. But it's still
I'm not saying I expect him
with.
to do it or want him to do it. And say what you want, and I know where you're going with this, but the thing you talk about glue guys, the thing that I loved yesterday when I saw practice, I think this was yesterday, was Mahomes was giving a snap to Creed Humphrey.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome. I loved it.
Creed, you got to work on your ball handling skills there, pal.
Yeah, you really do. Got to be able to take that snap a little bit cleaner.
Wait, no, you don't. You're centered. Never mind. That was all just for fun. No, but like as I look at it, especially I saw several clips. It looks like he did it multiple times during the week, and I must have missed the second and third time because I know the NFL Twitter universe lost their minds the first time the first clip came out. But in all honesty, like you said, if you were in a situation where you're getting pressure and you have that option on where the back's flaring out of the backfield, maybe you can pull that off. I could deal with it in a preseason game. The problem is if he completes it in a preseason game, then he's going to do it in a regular season game, and then I'm just not going to be able to deal with it.
Okay, but here's the other part of it. Like, you're practicing something that maybe you'll never use in a game, but now it's on film. Now people know about it. Now they have to defend just maybe a slight bit of difference and attack it a little bit differently to where maybe you don't have to even pull that out of the bag.
Yeah, maybe not. Yeah, force people to do film work they don't need to do. I love that. It just goes to show that the evolution of Patrick Mahomes, especially physically, is not over yet. There's been a lot of hubbub about Patrick, especially in the tiers this week, as Mike Sandow put out his quarterback tiers from voting within the NFL exec ranks. And if you guys haven't seen that, it's over at The Athletic. You got to check that out.
Do you even want to get – boy, this is opening a can of worms.
Well, I just want to say, Jack Del Rio, you're on notice. I know it was you. And for one person to say, hey, he's all flash and he can't read defenses yet. And Patrick has admitted he still needs to work on refining his pre-snap reads. That's fine. But to say that he's no longer a top-tier quarterback because of it is just ridiculous. And I wanted to get it out there before, something else comes out.
Well, and to say that he only throws to his first read, I think is laughable.
Right? When Andy's saying go check out PFF, something is wrong.
Well, and I would say, let's go talk to our friend Seth Kaiser, who does charting of Mahomes, and I guarantee he's got that as one of his stats is, how many, is he doing multiple reads per throw? People are going to throw shade. Let him throw shade. It doesn't really matter. People are saying Josh Allen is the best QB in the NFL right now. I don't get the hype. He's done nothing to get his team to the Super Bowl. He's done nothing. I mean, he's taken them, up against Kansas City several times. He's beat Kansas City once, I think.
He's a dang good quarterback.
Yeah, he's good. I'm not going to say he's not. But the question is how much does it change this year now that he's got stuff changing around him?
That's going to be the question. And honestly, the aspect of raising his team, I think, is the one thing that Josh is a little deficient in. Again, much like Patrick, all the physical tools, it's about what you do outside of that. And for Patrick, it's about pre-snaps reads, making sure that you're dissecting what the defense is trying to do to you. For Josh, it's being able to process to the point that you can lift the play of your other teammates. And that's how you get past a 13-second game. That's how you get past the Kansas City Chiefs. If he can do that, he's going to be a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, and his bigger problem is that a lot of what makes him good, or at least a decent amount of what makes him so dangerous, is him running the ball. And if he continues to do that for the next 10 years, he will not be playing much past that next 10 years.
Does hurt the wheels a little bit, but hey,
that's going to take some time off his career if he continues doing that as much as he has the past several years.
Yeah. So rest assured, folks, Patrick Mahomes is still. I can agree with the list that Sando put together from the team execs that he and Aaron Rodgers are right there. Aaron's done it longer. He's got more MVPs. He's proven that he can sustain it a little bit better. So I'd give him the edge, but I'd call them nearly equal at this point in terms of like execution play to play, but it's the longevity aspect. So don't worry, folks.
The question I have with Rodgers is how's he going to do without a number one wide receiver this year?
Well, we're going to find out real quick. So, folks, don't worry. Patrick Mahomes is still if not one of the pair of top quarterbacks in this league. But even he has to make improvements. We have to see new things. We have to see a lot coming up this next week. What we're looking for in week 2 of training camp is coming up next.
And if you want to go make a bet on who the best quarterback of football is going to be and who the MVP is going to be, I'm sure you could go do that at our friends over at betonline.net. You can go put some money on the line over there. BetOnline.net is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports and events at the #1 online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, which, yes, it's still going on, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to learn more about the action happening today. BetOnline, where the game starts. Really quick. I just want to say, I know we need to get into what we want to see this next week, but I do want to say I really liked what I heard from Frank Clark. I think that needs to be discussed. He gave up drinking. He's trying to change his body. He had a heart-to-heart with Andy Reid, and he's trying to mentor Karlaftis. I think that's all a great sign for Clark this season.
I took it as more of a mixed message, but I'm with you on certain aspects. I enjoy the fact that he was able to say, hey, I was slow coming off the ball last year. I was too heavy, and I talked to Reed, and we know that that's not what I do, and I needed to change something. I'm very encouraged to hear that because self-recognition is what allows you to make the next evolution of your game. So good for him. And I agree with you. The fact that he brings up the fact that he wants to help Karlaftis in particular, but the young guys in general, take that step forward. Now, that can sometimes be lip service. It didn't feel like that to me. Did it to you?
No, and he seems to be doing it after practice. I mean, he's working with the young guys after practice. So, I mean, you're seeing it already on the field. So, to me, it's not lip service when you actually see him working with those young guys after practice. And to look at his body, I mean, you can easily see he's slimmed down. So, it's going to be very interesting to see how he looks come week 1.
Yeah, I agree. And that is something that can not only help his game, but help this whole defense. And it's funny that you brought up Frank because what I wanted to get to was we saw Justin Reed made a couple of plays early, like I think it was day 1 and another PBU on day 2. And then the offense kind of had their week. But late in the week, Willie Gay had a pick 6 for like 95-yard touchdown. And good for him for running through it. That's what you encourage. But it seems like the defense is starting to make some plays as well. And it's not just Justin Reed. It's not just the pass rushers. Really encouraged to see Willie do that. And I think as they kind of solidify their platoons, who's going to be in the base nickel, Willie and Nick? Who's going to come in? Who's going to filter there? Two guys that I'm looking for to take a step forward this week. And this is nothing against the guys that are currently getting the reps, but I want to see more from Lonnie Johnson. I expected him to be the 3 with Rashad Fenton out, and he has not been to this point. So I expect him to get a look this week. He's got to make the most of it. And the same thing goes for Leo Chenal. Haven't seen him get much reps with the one Elijah Lee has been running at the Sam most of the time. So I think he will get a look or two. He's got to make the most of it. And those are 2 guys that I'm really watching for this week.
Yeah, and I think that's something to watch. I think that's going to be fascinating to see how those reps shake out. And, we're still a while away from a preseason game number 1. So there's, excuse me. So there's a lot that could be done and a lot that could change between now and week 1 in the regular season and in the preseason. But, Chenal is going to be a guy that you expect. He's obviously going to be on the roster. The question is Elijah Lee going to provide enough to make the roster? Right now he's running with the 1, so you would think that means he's automatically going to be on the roster. If Chenal finds a way to get past him, maybe he's not on the roster. Linebacker, we've already talked about. I would think he is, but we've already talked about there's a lot of positions up for grabs this year that we haven't had there in the past.
Yeah. I mean, he and Carter have so much special teams experience. I think even if one of them is not the starter and say Leo did take over that job, both those guys are guys that Tobe's going to lean on, in my opinion. So I would think that they're probably both safe.
I would think so too, but then you get into the rookies. Who are you going to keep in the UDFAs? Is Rose going to be a guy that's going to step up and actually claim a roster spot and give you any special teams play? If he does, it makes it harder.
He's the only guy that has a chance, but I don't know if he can do it.
Well, I understand that, but that's my point is you're not keeping 7 linebackers. I don't know that you keep 6. You may, but that's the question.
I'm with you. So can Mike Rose do something to make this roster?
Right.
Could Joshua Williams hold off Lonnie Johnson? Because I think Lonnie's going to get a look because they got to know. And I don't have any indication that Rashad Fenton's coming back. So Josh Williams has made the most of his reps so far. A couple of nice ones, specifically against Travis Kelce. Like what Lonnie Johnson wasn't able to do when he was in Houston by taking Travis one-on-one and actually beating him to the ball, Josh Williams was able to do. So that right there may be the difference in what we're seeing that no one is talking about. McDuffie has looked solid to this point, but not spectacular. Want to see him step up a little bit more. Now, he wasn't a PBU monster at Washington, but he's always in position, and that was the number one takeaway from his film. So it looks like he's adapting very quickly and in there. And so who steps up else in the secondary? Brian Cook is getting a lot of reps. I think he's pretty solid there as well, like we thought he would be preseason. But that's a group that can make some noise and make some plays. I need to see that more this next week.
Yeah, no, and it's something that we definitely want to see. You start getting guys that are actually going to be starting to settle into camp this week when the pads come on. And that's the other thing. Pads haven't been on yet. So I'm not going to say that you take all this with a grain of salt that's happened so far, but in a way, you're still having guys adapt to camp, and now you're going to add in the ability to be hit and actually hit people. That's going to change things as well. So that's going to be something to watch. Honestly, one of the things I'm still intrigued by is, Andrew Wiley got some time with the ones as the starting left tackle, and you start looking at the offensive line and what that's going to mean. Who knows what's going to happen with Orlando Brown right now? You hope that he shows up in the next couple of weeks, but it doesn't sound like there's any kind of movement there. And I don't get it from his perspective. I understand he wanted a new contract, but that's not an option right now. So in my mind, you try to optimize the best possible chance you could of having a new contract and having a good contract, which means you get your butt to camp and you go practice and you try to get better and show the team that you are what you can. Right. You try to show the team that you're worth the money you're asking for. Mm-hmm. So if he doesn't show up, then it's going to be interesting to see what Kansas City does to left tackle. And if he doesn't show up by week 1, does Kansas City try to make a trade? I mean, do you really want to go into the season with the guys you have?
Here's the only problem with that. Now with Carlos in house, you can't absorb much at all in terms of cap space.
Oh, you could.
Only if you rescind the tag.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. You rescind the tag, you get nothing. In order to trade him, he has to sign the tag. But I will say, if this goes on much longer,
at this point, I don't think.
No, once he signs it, you can. But then again, that's a whole barrel of fish that some other team has to try to take on. So it just gets more complex. In the end, it's exactly what you said. For both parties, the best situation for him is to get into camp and have the best season that he possibly can for his future contract and for the Chiefs.
And I actually was talking about this with a couple of guys last night because we were talking Chiefs football, and they were saying Orlando didn't look good last year, and I said what I said a couple of weeks ago, and you and I have talked about this ad nauseum. He was a left tackle that was in a running offense and came to a passing offense. He didn't have time to change his body. He didn't have time to change his style. Now is his time to show he adapted to the offense. He has the ability to adapt and show he can do what this team needs him to do, but he can't do that if he's not on the field. And if he doesn't show up, I expect the team's going to move on from him at some point if he doesn't show up by week 1.
Possibly. That's a big asset to just move on from. We'll see what happens. I think he's in camp. He needs to be in camp by the 10th. I think he's in there before they break camp one way or the other. But that said, the aforementioned hitting period is tomorrow. It is officially known as Leo Chanel Day tomorrow at camp, folks, on Monday, as you're hearing this, because he gets to do his thing and make contact. It is a pad day. It should be very interesting. That's generally why they schedule the days off prior to that. Let them rest up a little bit.
And just real quick, Dunlap is showing up on Wednesday, so he will not be full go in practice until the next Monday, because they have to have 3 days to acclimate. So he's still not going to be there for a little bit. I mean, he'll be able to go do drills and whatnot, but he won't be able to actually practice.
Exactly. We'll see him when we can see him. I'm not too worried about it. So hopefully we'll see. I'm going to try to see that myself. Folks, my plans have changed on a personal note. I am still trying to get to camp, but everything went out the window with my normal plan, which is after the week 1 preseason game. That's my normal deal. So I am trying to get there maybe this next weekend. There's a practice Sunday. There's a practice Monday, I believe, that's open to the public because, Chiefs PR is maxed out evidently, and we won't be inside the tent. So I'll let you know if you are in town and you would like to hook up. We'll be there for the A practice, I think, is about the length that I'm going to make it. But, Chris, are you still planning to go up as well?
I'm going to try. It's going to be a question as to when, because with the way the preseason games work out and when they're going to be there and when they're not, it could make it really difficult.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But let us know how you feel about camp and what you're seeing out there. We'll try to make a connection at some point. We appreciate all your feedback. If you leave your comments or your observations in the comments on YouTube or in the reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, we would very much appreciate it. Remember, if you're new to us, we're here 5 days a week plus. So
yeah, I was going to say, let us know what you think about those shorts that we did. I'm sure Ryan will be doing those this weekend when they have practices. So watch for those.
Absolutely. And you can like, sub, and hit the bell on YouTube to get in the know. Become one of the regulars here on Locked On Chiefs. And as you know, we will be back with you tomorrow. Post pads, we should have some interesting content about who did what where, and hopefully a nice, healthy day for this roster. Thanks for listening to us today. We'll talk to you tomorrow.